Here's the big question.
How are agents like us,
who didn't get an opportunity to invest in a franchise early,
who are spending time and money to sell homes,
building someone else's saleable asset?
How do we grow a business but still build wealth?
Have an exit strategy,
and get a piece of the pie that's not dependent
on us working more hours in every weekend?
That is the question, and this podcast will give you the answer.
My name is Jay Kinder.
My name is Al Stasek.
And I'm Michael Reese. We are your hosts, and welcome to the One Big Fire Podcast.
What's happening, everybody out there today? We got a great announcement today. I'm so excited to announce that Brian J. Burd and the Brian Burd home selling team has joined us at eXp Realty. My friend, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing fantastic, man. I'm feeling awesome. I'm loving life, and I'm just this year is starting out amazing.
That's awesome. Is the ice melted?
You know, I'm actually in the one part of Texas that didn't have the ice, so we're excited.
Nice.
We had a little bit of snow, but that's it. And we kept power the whole time, so that's always
man.
fun.
Yeah, you guys.
Everybody always forgets El Paso.
Yeah, narrowly escaped it. Then that's good. I'll take that for sure. We narrowly escaped it too here where I'm at. So
I can only imagine.
yeah. The thermostat's stuck here in my house. In fact, a little while ago, the power went off, and this is a normal thing, island life, right, or whatever. I'm in Puerto Rico, for those of you who don't know, but. The power shuts off and everything shuts off all at once. Then your generator kicks on, and 10 seconds later, then everything comes back on. So that's the kind of problems I have. So I'll take that problem all day long.
Exactly.
Let's talk about this, man. So we've known each other since about how long? 2000.
Shoot, it's been a while. It's been 12 years. Yeah.
Right.
10. Yeah, somewhere in that range.
And so you've been building your team. Building your business and whatnot, and what's been how did this transpire? First of all, how did you end up finding out about EXP? Why did you look at it so close? And then you're one of the few that just when you made a decision, you just jumped. So rip the Band-Aid off when you see something good, make a decision and get going. I know that works. I've done that my whole life, but it's not easy, right? So take me through the process, and you had to have been watching it over the years. You probably had some thoughts about it. What was the process that you went through to end up with making this decision for your team?
Absolutely. So a lot of things happened. First off, as you know, I owned a piece of a brokerage, and I felt static. I felt like I wasn't moving anywhere. I wasn't progressing anywhere, and I felt like there was a need for me to continue to operate the fact that I wanted to grow with agents around me. I always had an agent mindset. I never felt like I had the broker mindset. I never felt like I was trying to just go after the transaction, just go after trying to push the person to the next deal. I always felt like, hey, this was something that needed to be everybody benefiting at the same time. And I got to get away from the fact that I really enjoyed teaching. I enjoyed communicating, working with people, talking to people, helping people through that next problem, because I learned a long time ago, man, there's no secrets in real estate, right? None. There's not one secret in real estate. And if you got a secret, you better hold on to it because you're the only one.
Right.
So what it is just how did we rip off and duplicate what other people were doing? And I venture back to when we did initially meet, is that the conversation came down to it that here I was holding back an opportunity. And I'll say his name. Matt Wagner is a godsend to my life. But at the end of the day, I was holding him back, and I kept pushing him back, and I just thought this was an annoying guy just calling me. And I texted you back then, and you said, "Man, just do it." And I don't know how many explicatives you want me to put on the live, but at the end of the day, you said he's going to make you effing rich, right? And that happened. Right. And that's what changed the entire dynamic. And I still have that text on my phone to today because that's
awesome.
Sometimes I got to be willing to pull the trigger in a heart's beat to know that something's going to be bigger, better, and more beneficial to both me, my team, my family, the people around me. It's not a question of how many people show up at your funeral. It's a question of how many people cry at your funeral, right?
Right. Yep, man, that's great. I love it, man. That's a great statement. And that it is, man. It's about adding it's about adding value to people's lives, and I think people. Aspire to do more and sell more real estate. And at a certain point for you, it sounds like, and for me certainly as well, is you get to a point where, helping people and seeing the success that you help other people have becomes the thing about real estate that you love the most. Not just selling another house, but helping other people become successful. And so, we're all blessed. I'm blessed that Matt Wagner was he was banging down my door in Lawton, Oklahoma in 2000, trying to get me to try radio because he saw me spending money on other stuff. And, that collaboration turned into something that helped a lot of people with their businesses. And it was, and it's an incredible thing. And so, that's but that's what I learned was what I had more, I get more value out of seeing what it did for you than what it did for me. Right. Like that's what it's really all about. And, we now found a business model where, that type of alignment, financial alignment, we're all financially aligned. The more I help you succeed, the more I'm going to succeed. That's a special thing. The more I help you and your agents succeed, and anyone that you bring into the company succeed, the more they succeed, the more I succeed. And that dynamic in real estate doesn't exist. There's always, and I always use this analogy. You tell me if you felt kind of the same way. And my dad owned the Coldwell Banker, and I felt obligated to help with his exit strategy that he communicated to me when I was younger, that he wanted to sell it, by a certain date or whatever. And he kept encouraging me and Kitchens to do the math. And so we kept doing the math. And the more we did the math, I was like,
Didn't make sense.
I can't even imagine how I could do this. Like the royalties that never end. Like it was just too much money that was being paid in, and I couldn't see the value in it. And so, so at the end of the day, like if my dad would have came to me and said, he was super cool about it, but if he came to me and said, hey, Jay, here's the vision for what we're going to do here. We're going to build this and I was like, I would have been, now what's my split? All right. Is it changing? No, then I'm good. But I didn't really care about the company and the company being successful and doing better. It's different now. Yeah. Like I think EXP first. I realize that EXP matters more than anything. It is the golden goose for all of us. So it has to be company first, then what's good for me, because the stock goes up when the company does well. We all get revenue share from the agents we bring in when the company does well, and we grow the company. And so there's just a financial alignment now with the company that I didn't have before. And it's for some people that might not make a lot of sense, but it makes all the difference in whether or not everyone's going to be successful together, in my opinion. So this is a special kind of thing. So for we've been there here for a few years, and you've probably seen that we've made the jump or whatever. What got you back looking at the model again? What was it that stood out to you, or was there a situation, or was it something that you just caught on to, or what was it that got you turned on to it again and really looking deeper at it?
So being 100% honest right now?
Absolutely. Okay. 100% honest. I don't care what you say. You can say anything.
Jay Kinder's Instagram videos on his story from Puerto Rico. I mean, I'll be honest with you. At the end of the day, that tells me, hey, listen. So, Jay, the initial aspect of where we kind of connected with was way back when it was Kinder Reese. The discussion of the coaching. I've always been trying to figure out, how do I advance to that next level? How do I move to that next level? And I'll be honest, at that point, here's my guy that I've been looking towards, like, hey, listen, he did, we've talked about the fact of fishing instead of farming, right? Going back after that neighborhood over the term. So, we've had these conversations over the years, and what it ended up coming down to is here you've now moved on to a next progression. And I think that's the thing with real estate. Sometimes it feels we're entrepreneurial spirited in every facet of our business, and yet we're stuck in the same rut of selling the same thing over and over again. So what this gave is an opportunity, one, to allow my agents to have other opportunities that could bring income to their resource, whether that in the mentor program, whether that be in the stock opportunities, whether that be in just the rev share. Some people are not born recruiters, and that's okay. You don't have to, but you still have some opportunity built into it. And that was the value add. But the other side of the equation is that now you've moved to a progression level where, hey, I don't necessarily have to sell real estate anymore, but I can still provide value to those real estate agents. And you caught me, Jay, and I'll be honest, and I've used this line a couple times since, is that for the first time we get the opportunity to partnership without asking for a credit card, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, that's something that just hits home with value, because here I can help agents that aren't necessarily on my team, but maybe in my partnership group, to kind of make them more successful without the opportunity of having to say, listen, I'm going to have my thumb on you to try and make sure that you're not stepping out of line. I didn't like that. I never liked it, and I don't like it now. So
Right.
why not put myself in a position where I can still help, but at the same token, help you be more successful while I'm making my own self more successful.
Right. Yeah, it's more fun to lead people than it is to manage people. And I feel like, traditionally the team model was more managing people than leading people. And that's fundamentally a big difference. And I used to always say, as we got into the coaching and I had more employees, it's like, if I have to manage you, I don't need you. Like, I don't want people to manage. I want people to lead. And people that move forward and, they take something and run with it and go execute. And then they come back with a new problem that they created because they did what we told them to do in the first place. And so, it's exciting, man. That's for sure. So that's funny, man. I had no idea what the answer was. And the fact that my stories and it's funny because every day, so Michael and I, Michael is, this was a big move. We moved our whole family. For those who don't know the story, Michael Reese and I, which was Kinder Reese, which is how we know each other, moved our families to Puerto Rico a couple months ago now. And to be honest, there's 15 maybe, I think, people that are in EXP that moved to Puerto Rico. So there's a track record of performance of folks that get into EXP that end up living a lifestyle that is unquantifiable on this podcast. Reach out to Brian and have a conversation. Yeah. We'll show you. But it's unbelievable what's possible in this and people just don't understand the business model. I mean, it's the number one thing is people don't understand the business. If they understood the business model, I had a call today. I was on a call with a guy that had 300 agents within an office, and I won't name the brand that he's at, but he's leaving the brand and he's coming to EXP and he's going to make more money. His agents are going to make more money, and he has this huge platform that's going to be processing and managing everything to make it 10 times easier on him. It's going to cut his costs. It's going to increase the value for the agents. It's given revenue models for the agents that they didn't have before. It's crazy to me that more people aren't really truly looking at this model closer.
And Jay, I'll tell you right now, well, the big thing that everybody says is that it sounds too good to be true, and it does. It sounds too good to be true, and I think what had to be kind of looked past is, listen, yeah, it is an MLM, it is a pyramid but it's the difference of Jay never told me, hey, Brian, you got to buy $100 of soap just to be involved, right? I don't have to buy something to stay involved. I got to do the same thing I'm already doing. So here I am coming from a brand, from a franchise, from paying Rheology a fortune every year. And now I have the opportunity to take that money and now invest it back in my business to help my business grow, whilst at the same time, I still have the opportunity to help other agents grow as well. So I can leverage the things that grew my business in the first place, because the one thing that was ever restricting me was the opportunity of dollar. And I can make myself more profitable and at the same time bring value to the agents by allowing them to do other things. Because that's the one thing that you get, like I said, that entrepreneurial spirit keeps you wanting to look for the next best thing. Well, here's the thing that you can add in the next best thing while still doing what you're doing.
Right. I've always said, Michael and I always had we've always had this mindset that when somebody brings us an opportunity that we always say yes until we have to say no. And it's one of those things that's like in the top 10 best mental models that I've probably adopted over my lifetime, because the opportunity is always, you have an opportunity for you. I will hear you out. Let me hear what the opportunity is. I'm always going to say yes until I have to say no. My qualifiers for when I have to say no, or when it's not in alignment with my core values and who I am as a human being and what matters to me and like what I get fulfillment. If it doesn't line up with my core values, then I'm out. Now, and then it's does it align to my vision for what I want, where I'm going, what I'm doing. And, in this business model, and we'll talk, I want to talk about the compensation and why there's such an opportunity and why people like Grant Cardone joined the company recently. People see the opportunity. A lot of really smart people that understand things at a much higher level than probably either one of us do are all looking at this company saying, this is the greatest gift to greatest opportunity there is in the real estate industry, period. Right. So that doesn't happen on accident. People like Grant Cardone don't look at EXP and decide they're going to become a part of it unless they understand something at a high level. And so, when it comes down to the compensation model of EXP, and you mentioned, the MLM, the pyramid, this and the other, it's what I think people don't understand is, number one, why it's disruptive. Okay. So the way that franchises grew, the ones that we were a part of, I was part of Real G2, I was Cole, you were C2 on, the way they grew historically was they sold the regions to somebody, and those regional opportunities, they paid a lot of money for the regions. I don't know exactly what they paid because nobody ever tried to sell me one. They were all sold before I was around. But they may have paid $500,000 or whatever for one of those regions. But that opportunity there was for you to help build that franchise, locations within that region, and y'all recruit agents like crazy, man. And you're gonna get a revenue share off those agents, a percentage of what they pay in, that 5, 6, 7, 8%. You're gonna get a percentage of that off the top of, that's going to get paid to that regional owner. So the franchise owner bought an opportunity that was a recruiting opportunity, recruit agents to this franchise. And then, the regional opportunity, they had the same thing. And so that was how companies grew for as long as we've been around in real estate, and way before. That was how these other companies grew. And it took them a long time to grow because it takes time. You build a big old brick and mortar office, and it was one person going out and trying to get more people. Right. That was, I think that's the failed model. It was one person's opportunity. You're 100% right. Exactly. And that's what changed. The mind of an agent doesn't think like that. The mind of an agent thinks that how can everybody benefit? How can everybody find value? And that's what opened the door. Right. When you give everybody the same opportunity, then now it's just no different than real estate. Everybody that comes to your team, or anybody that comes to any office that wants to sell real estate, their opportunities are all there. They're the same for everybody. Whoever wants it, go gets it. And that's the same with the agent attraction and the revenue share side of the business model. Is if you can add value to people's lives, which I know we didn't talk about your production, but nearly 400 transactions. I mean, you're one of the top agents in the country. You have tremendous value that you can add to any agent that's wanting to grow their business. And when they partner with you at EXP, you get a little piece off of what they pay into that $16,000 cap at EXP. Not a lot, just a little bit, but you have an incentive now to also help them attract other people to come to the company as well. And you get an incentive to help them increase their production because you get a little piece of that. And so that's that financial alignment piece that is magic, man. It's a special thing for sure. And it makes everybody think differently, right? I mean, listen, at the end of the day, Jay Kinder is at a level, right? I'm at a level, but that doesn't mean that I don't want to help that person that might be coming in at the lower level to get to where I'm at. And now, not only am I helping them, which I was doing before and you were doing before, but now there's an opportunity that there's a different compensation basis for it. Instead of me asking you to pay me to coach you, or instead of you asking them to pay them to coach them, now we have the opportunity to not ask for that and encourage them to grow and build their business, because if they grow and build their business, then it helps us just the same. Yeah. And it actually feels better. I feel better at night with not asking for that credit card, right? Yep. You know what? One of the things that I learned in the many mentors that I've had, and I hopefully I don't butcher this, but it was Frank Kern that taught us this lesson. And he said, think about whatever product it is you're selling or whatever offer that you want to put in the marketplace. And he's talking to us as an information marketer selling things to real estate agents. And he said, think about the thing that you could deliver on the promise, and you could deliver on the promise so well that you'd be willing to make the promise without taking any money in compensation until the actual result has happened, right? And so that was a framework of the way he taught you how to think. It's like, if you could add that much value to someone's life, make that promise, deliver on that value, get them that result, and then ask for the money. That was the model he was teaching, which was, add value, get people the result. Here's the promise. Let me show you how I'm going to do it. Okay, now I've done it. Now do you want me to help you do more, right? And that's the model we're in now. Is now say, listen, we both have a proven track record to help people. That's kind of irrefutable. But if you want our help, we can help you. And we're not going to ask for you for any money. In fact, we're not going to ask for any money on the back end either. It's just going to happen because it's part of the business model. And so it's a cool deal. I think as more people understand this, the company's just going to continue to go up like a rocket ship. Was there any hesitations that you had? Or go ahead, finish your thought, and then let's. Yeah. So
the one thing that I would say about it is that at the end of the day, what it brought into value is that we were able to now provide value and give all those things in value points. But at the same time, when I don't have an answer that I can, for the question that they asked, I can reach out to other people that are in the same chain to give me that value as well. You know, there's a honey badger sitting around us, and there's 5,000 honey badgers that are willing to offer the help. They're willing to say, hey, this is how I did it. This is how I wanted to make myself successful. And this is how I made myself successful. So that's the value add.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. You were awful plugged in, my friend. You know what I'm saying? Like, most people don't realize the things that you're telling me in this conversation since, really, less than 60 days in this transition, that you saw what other people have a hard time, like they get the value a little bit at a time going, oh shoot, I didn't know that was underneath that. Like, that's amazing. Like, what's under this rock over here? Oh my gosh, all these people will help me too. Like, how did you put this all together? I feel like you saw, like, you're experiencing, or you saw something that other people just don't get.
Well, so, what it comes down to is I analyze a lot of stuff. So you're asking the question of, like, what was the hesitation? The hesitation is, honestly, it did sound too good to be true. Like, here I come up with this value add, different opportunity for income. But here's the thing is that I had to figure out, all right, how do I disprove this? How do I, before I even tell Jay that I'm thinking about it, how do I say that, what about this? How does this not work? How does this not feel that, that's not possible, right? But here it is. The reality is that we have this brokerage mindset. So it feels like it's impossible. It feels like it's too good to be true. But the truth of the matter is, it's just, we have to turn off that brokerage mindset. We have to turn it off, because we're not feeding the animal anymore. Right? We're basically moving on and feeding ourselves now. And that's the difference. Instead of hoping, wishing, believing that a person's going to feed us from the brokerage. And that's just not the case. Let's go out there and get our own food.
That's right. No question. So one of the, something that was shared to me recently, I can't remember the name of the book. They said, is what is the upside? Like, evaluate something. What is the upside? What is the downside? And then this last question, which I thought was really valuable, was, can I live with the downside? Right. And so, like, making this kind of a transition for people like you and I believe that we make that decision really quickly, because we analyze, and we say, okay, what's the worst case scenario? Worst case scenario is I got to move back to the United States. You know what I'm saying? Like, I moved my whole family to Puerto Rico. The worst case scenario is I pick up my bags and we ship it all back to Texas, and I'm back in Texas. Like, for me, it was an easy decision. For my wife, not so much. But like, there's some value in that, because can I live with the downside is really what it boils down to. If worst case scenario, and the thing is, the truth is, for people, and this is why this company attracts people like you and people like me and people that really genuinely want to add value in an abundance mindset, is because there's no way that we're going to join a company like this and then struggle and then not reach out to you. Wouldn't not, if you were struggling and you had a problem, and I experience this every day, because people reach out to me that maybe they didn't come in directly under me, but they know I'm in their lineage, and I should be willing to help them. And they reach out, they're like, hey man, I don't want to bother you or whatever. I was like, this is what I do, bro. Like, I only want to talk to people that want my help. That's like my favorite thing in the world to do. So you're not bothering me. Let me say it again. Anytime you need something, reach out to me. I'm here for you. Like, this is what I do. And so, like, but they'll reach out to me, and then they realize, oh shoot, he's serious. He's like really going to help me. And then they're like, all right, you're in their calendar. They're in my calendar more often. And I'm like, that's who I'm looking for. These are the people I can help. But you're not just gonna struggle and then just leave the company and be like, that didn't work, right? Like, so the downside for people like us is, I'm just gonna figure it out. Like, I know this is a better way. I know for a fact that this business model is a better way. So I'm not gonna go back to chiseling out a wheel myself and trying to put those wheels on the car and be like, all right, fine, I'll just drive around with my feet and then, no engine and just do it the hard way. No, we're going to figure it out. And you have the resources around you to help you. Like, why would, like, I don't know. I don't know what most people do, but that question of what can you live with the downside? We would never leave and go back and say that didn't work for me. That was bullshit. We would only stay and we would figure it out, because we know we have the resources and people that are willing to help. And that's a big difference in a lot of people's mindset.
Of course, of course. I had a conversation yesterday with a bunch of agents that said, "Hey, listen, guys, how many times, people look at Facebook, they look at Facebook for the social aspect. I look at Facebook to find out who can I meet on Facebook that can add value to my bottom line, who can add value to my ease of life, who can find value that I'm paying this much today, but I would be paying this much if I did it just a little bit differently." So I think the thing is finding the value in what you can network, right? Your network creates your net worth. I mean, that's the truth of the reality of it. I mean, those things change based on who you know.
Right. So let me ask you a question, because this is like an experiment, right? So, because I know I don't want to just tell my story, because my story I've told so many times, I'm tired of telling it. But for you, was there, a time that you made an investment outside of El Paso, and you went outside of El Paso to get into a room of people that were real estate agents that were more successful than you, that you learned from, got something, picked up had pages of notes or something, went back, executed that, and was like, that was the best thing I could have ever done? Has that ever happened to you?
Just a few times, yeah.
Right. So
I mean, yeah.
So let me, and I say that not kind of jokingly, because me and you get it, and I hope I don't know who's listening, right? So whoever might be watching this, maybe they did or didn't get it. But the reality is that you said in the very beginning that there's no new ideas in real estate. If you want to know how to sell 100, 200, 300, 400 homes, if you want to know how to make $1 million, 2 million, 3 million years, there's somebody that has done it, and there's plenty of people that have done it, and there's even more people that would love to help show you how they did it. But you got to get out of your comfort zone. And this is what my belief is. Maybe I'm crazy, but I believe that in my office, and it's funny because somebody was watching a video and they shared it with me today, that they watched this video that was my parents talking about how I used to come back to the office and I used to share the things I would learn when I would go out to these events, and I'd go to these, wherever it was, and I'd come back and I'd always share stuff with the other agents in the office. And I was like, well, maybe I was just different, but nobody else in my office was sharing their best practices. Nobody else in my office was helping me grow my business, but I was still trying to help those people, even though they didn't ever take anything and do anything with it. And I feel like most agents that are in an office like that, there's not that many agents that are really there and going to share their best practices. They're not really going to. Why? Because they look at you as competition. That they're not abundance mindset. They're scarcity mindset. And so that's most real estate offices. Even if you're in an office with a bunch of top people, if you're the top dog in the office, I feel sorry for you, because you definitely aren't learning. They're basically sucking all the value out of you, but you don't have anywhere to go. Most of us were willing to spend the money, got on planes, left our families, made it. And those are not easy decisions, but we invest all this money to go get in the room, to spend $10,000 or $20,000 over that time period, or maybe even more than that, to be a part of a mastermind or a coaching group, in order to just meet and have these relationships of people that are willing to help you, because they're it's a different crew, different kind of person that has success and just like willing to sit at the bar with you all night and have a conversation and to help you with your business. And you learn so much from those situations. And we all know this is true, right? But now what I'm seeing happen at EXP is you can jump into a room in the cloud and you can learn from, you mentioned the Honey Badger group, and our group of people is the value. 99% of the value in the group that we have is the group itself. Like, I could go on for days, the list of people and their accolades and what they've accomplished and how valuable that is. But all of those people you're now connected to those people in a way that we've never been connected before. We don't have to actually, not that we don't want to, because I think we get a lot of value out of getting out of our element and going to an event, and we should do those things still. But you get connected, and the things that are being shared or the person that might comment on your question in the group is like, I looked one time and it was like the top 5 comments were from 5 of the top people in the world that if you could have paid money, you would have to pay a lot of money to get their opinion on. And I'm like, how valuable is that one thing? And it was just a regular, normal agent that was asking a simple question. Yet the top people that I know that are qualified to answer the question all were the ones giving the answers. I was like, man, that's pretty cool to be a part of, right? Like, that's so much more valuable. And this business model allows it, right? It's not me. It's this business model that created that value. And so we don't have to fly around the country like we used to get those answers.
And it took a different mindset to think that way. But at the end of the day, yeah, I mean, I think anybody that's a high level thinker that's going to say, hey, how do I improve myself? Is going to go that route of saying, hey, not only did I get it, but I want to share it with other people. Why would I want other people to make the mistakes that I made? I mean, that doesn't make any sense. Let me make the mistakes. Let me help the value in what you're doing every day. I had a conversation with an agent last night, and she said, yeah, I want to buy a CRM system. And she said, great. And I said, what's your budget? And she's like, $3,000. And I said, do not spend $3,000 to onboard a CRM system. I mean, that's ridiculous. Don't do that, because I can find you a CRM that's going to be a tenth of that price. And then I'll be able to use all that other money for you to grow your business. I mean, but I knew that mistake because I probably did the $2,000 onboarding years ago, right? So don't do the mistake that I did. Learn from the mistakes that I made, and then add that value of how you move forward. So people are willing to share if you're willing to ask. But if you're not willing to ask, then let me get into an environment like EXP where I can now voice that opinion to more people without this anticipation. And people are not all recruiters. So rev share, that's great. All that other stuff is great, but that's the extra. That's the extra that you get, because now there's a forward-thinking, agent-thinking model that's in play, which has never been on the market before. Everybody chases these one-off transactions, these $295 or $250 per transaction. That's not the point, guys. The point is, find the value in what your net worth is, so you grow that net worth, right?
Right, 100%. You couldn't have started off with any better conversation than this, because to me, I've always said I'm not the smartest kid in class. I just always sit next to him, and I feel like that's what's got me to the levels of success I've had. It's no secret. I'm not brilliant. I'm not some genius that figures something out, other than what, that person figured it out. How can I learn from them, right? And we do that in a collaborative nature of the EXP model. Where everybody wins together, man, people thrive in this kind of environment. So, man, I'm just super excited that you're a part of it. It's one of those things that I feel like every day there's someone that I know should have joined already, that I'm like, yeah, heck yeah, finally we're back to the bands together.
Yeah. And Jay, I mean, I'll be honest. I mean, there's that. I did it one time, and I try not to do it again. But I went through the last 3 years I think that we spoke 3 years ago when you made that move, 3.5 years ago when you made the move. And at the end of the day, I kicked myself, because just 1 year of icon status and that 16,000 coming back in stock, I kind of just take a deep breath every time I look at what that would be in value today. So the answer is, it's so many different avenues. And I was having a conversation today with a person asking me, why did I move? And in that conversation, I couldn't imagine how many times I came back to, well, then there's this. Oh, and then there's that. And then I don't have to do 1099s for my agents anymore. And they were like, that's the thing that just triggered them. They're like, wait, I don't have to do that anymore? No, I don't have to do that anymore. And it's like that. It's an agent mindset that just changes the whole dynamic.
Yep. I love it, man. Love it, man. So is there anything else you would want to share? I mean, obviously that's a great example of, like, you have to have a conversation. You have to take a little bit of time, reach out to Brian, reach out to myself, and let us help you work through it, because I think most people are just missing something. They're probably missing a lot more than one thing. They're probably not realizing a whole bunch of things about the business model that they think they understand. Because I was there too. I was there the first year that I said no twice. I didn't understand all the dynamics and some of the value that was in the model, a lot of the value in the model. And so, have a conversation, reach out to Brian, myself. If you're looking to grow, we want to help you grow. And so we would love to work with you. Is there anything else?
Don't get in your own. Yeah, don't get in your own way. I was detracted from, they're playing with avatars online. That was like, I was trying to push against it. I was trying to find every reason that not to make that phone call, right? So I was coming up with reasons. And the thing is that as an owner of a brokerage, I was even doing it more because I knew that everybody's talking about it. What do I know to do to quash from everybody talking about it? Why should I quash anything? Why shouldn't I maybe open the book and say, hey, this makes sense? And that's what I did. I gave up ownership in a brokerage because I decided, hey, this is worth more than the opportunity that I was trying to force other people into. Now I have the opportunity to just help them into another opportunity.
Right. Yeah. Once you truly get it and you understand it, then you realize that you can't stay where you're at in a model that you don't believe in, and continue to push it, right? And say, hey, this is what you should do. When you know in the back of your mind, like there's actually a better way, you know, it makes it easier for you to make that decision too, because you know your people are what matters most, and you know what, if you're not doing what's best for them, then it's not what's best.
100%. 100%.
Yeah, man. Well, I appreciate you, brother. It's always a pleasure to have a conversation with you, and I'm looking forward to helping grow this and add tons of value to your group, and you know, we'll continue to do that as long as we're around, man. So, any last words that you have?
No, kill it for 2021, guys. It's going to be a
baby.
fantastic year. I think you just got to put it into action. Don't hesitate to at least pick up the phone. The worst you can do is say no, thank you.
That's right. Love it. Do the work.
Absolutely. All right, Joe, thanks.
Hey, have a great time. Have a great day, man.
Absolutely.
Yep. Bye-bye.